As we know, the most important thing as we're going to the ground is our plant foot has got to be a little bit further up. Okay, so I just want you to take a look at this. Okay, this was early on in the day, and you can kind of see on each one of these how your plant foot is a little bit too far back. See, the ball's right on the line between the green and the white, and on this one you can see the ankle's behind. So I mean, ideally we would like to see your ankle going through the back of the ball and your shin through the middle of the ball. Okay, and as far as this on the right side, if we take a look at this, just notice how the foot is actually pointing out in that direction. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out. Just take a look at this last step. Notice how your left leg comes in and you kind of open up and your knee is pointing out that way. So let's just be careful of that. To me, that's just a little bit of overturning of that foot. It's not anything really that's too devastating, but what that's going to do is it's just going to set you up to swing in this direction. I mean, so that's where your hips square up, that's where they're going to go. So just be aware of that and try not to overextend that step. Just let it plant right there, pointing to our target. Okay? Getting into the right position is important, but more important is the transferring of the weight. To be explosive and for things to be effortless and free-flowing, your weight has to be transferring at the right time. And your weight tends to get forward early, and then you have to hold on, and your hips tend to actually, your left hip and right hip are not working together. I should see your left leg and your right leg work in unison and everything going forward, and it should just be more explosive. And your swing looks very tight, compact in a bad way in terms of it's like very suddenly, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it's just very compact and it's more of a punch than a smooth stroke. So it's the power is here to here instead of a nice fluid, smooth swing. So I just want you to focus on your left leg here as you come into the plant foot. Watch your plant foot as it lands and notice how almost it seems immediately all the weight is over the toe. You can kind of see how the toe and your heel tends to kind of creep up in the air a little bit as you're coming into the ball. And if you watch, if we could just think about keeping the weight a little bit more in your heel and less in the foot. So even though you're doing a very good job of holding your plant foot in position and your knee is not sliding here, what you can see is even though your knee is not sliding, the weight is really shifting to the toe quickly. And this is why I have a problem with it, is watch now through impact what happens to your left leg. Your left hip almost snaps backwards. See it? You can kind of see your knee goes, instead of your leg extending and getting here, your knee kind of goes backwards and your leg straightens, your plant leg straightens here, almost like where we want your kicking leg to straighten. So I almost feel like you're not really getting your leg locked. It's hard to see from this angle. Your kicking leg is not getting locked at impact a lot, and that's why you're, as you can see here, the ground is where you're hitting the ball a little bit, maybe half from here. Watch this side here. Boom, your hips are almost already square pointing forward, and now the leg has nowhere to go but left. Okay, and you do a good job of coming right up through the ball. That's your best talent, I would say, is your ability to hold back and use your hip from here. Look on the video on the left now. You don't lock out until after the ball. That's part of the issue, but you do a good job of keeping your hip back and then bringing everything up through. Okay, you get very good height as you're coming up that way. Being able to hold on and rip up from here up, you're still making contact with a little bit of a bent leg, and we talked about that's mostly because of the foot placement. Okay, we want that foot east-west like it is here on this side. Okay, you can see how nice that is. It's just a little bit high on the ball, but it was good east-west there. And here, obviously, you can see it's a little bit more forward. Not only is it north-south, but the foot is also with the ankle behind the toe. So that is just not allowing you to lock your leg, and there you can see. So we want to utilize it and make sure that we don't break the angle down by rounding our approach, okay? So what we want to do is make sure we have a direct approach to the plant foot, and that allows us to maintain that angle, and that's where the power comes from, okay? Now the other thing is, as you plant there, now that right there is pretty good posture. Everything looks really good. It's just, I mentioned on the field, your plant foot's just a tiny bit too far this way. Okay, we want one length of your own foot from the middle of the ball to the inside of your foot. Okay, so this is just a little too far because, like I said, the telltale sign is at impact. You should be, your leg should be parallel. And as you can see here, your plant leg is, let me fix that. Your plant leg is there, and your kicking leg is out in that fashion a little bit. So that's not perfect, but you get the idea. So if your plant foot was just maybe an inch closer, maybe even a half inch to the block where the football is, it would make it easier for you to make good contact and have your kicking leg parallel to your plant leg. That's where you'll get the most power and be the most efficient. You won't have to reach, because what this does is up through it as much. So if you keep that knee a tiny bit further back through impact, and then allow the foot to be the fastest part of the leg, it'll be easier for you to get some better height. Okay, now this you can see it's pretty close to locked out, but just not quite. Just a slight bend in your knee at impact. And we talked about how your foot is just a little north-south as you approach. As you approach impact. So the foot being here is not what we want. What we want is more of a side. Well, you can't really see it from here, but on this side, on the left side, take a look. Plant foot, not bad. You have it as right here. It's pretty good, and that's actually, this one on the left is better than the one here over here on the right. But this is what I think you need to focus on as well. So the swing path, and if you could just get that ankle to drop down a little bit more and have this foot be more on that plane, the green one instead of the red, that would help. It'll be easier to make better contact and slot that foot in.